This is one of the most common problems that I hear amongst guys in the community when it comes to learning pickup, learning game. They just hear one thing. They hear game is it's a numbers game. So their only solution is to increase the amount of approaches that they do. And I would argue that that is by far the last thing that you should be doing. If anything at all. If anything, I don't think you should be increasing your approaches if it's not working out for you. I think that's a sign that you've given up. Before we kick it off, I'm Dave, and this channel is dedicated to giving you no BS novel dating advice for the modern man. Top link in the description to learn the sweet art of cold approach with me. My autobiography is in the description as well, and I've got some free communities in there, Facebook group, etc. So, you're struggling out there with cold approaching girls. You're not getting the results that you would like to get, and someone has said to you that it's a numbers game. Well, there's numbers everywhere. Everything's a number, but I would argue that increasing the amount of approaches that you do and becoming a spam bot is by far the worst thing that you can do. I would say that if you are not getting the results that you would like to be getting, there's hundreds, if not thousands, of things that you could be doing to try and innovate. Try new things. You should be trying new things all the time. You should be looking at your particular problems and figuring out how can I maximize my results with what attributes I have, etc. And that sometimes can come with coaching. This is not like a sales thing. This is more of a lesson to guys out there, because I think a lot of guys, they hit a wall. They hit intermediate purgatory, and then they just become spam bots, and they never snap out of it. They have the same canned lines. They have the same way of approaching. They approach the same type of day. They dress the same way. They do the same things. And they, I don't think Einstein actually said this, but it is a quote, and it's a relevant quote. Doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting a different result is the definition of insanity. And if you are doing the same thing over and over and over again and it's not working, and your only solution is to increase the rate of you doing the same thing over and over and over and over again, and expecting a different result, you have to really need to check yourself there, because there's something definitely wrong. And just increasing the amount of approaches that you do is never an option. It's just insanity to just think that that is the only solution. And I would argue that you have thousands of options at your feet, thousands of different ways to do the same thing. And I guess that is a problem with the community, isn't it? We do have a lot of beginner coaches. There's a whole new batch of coaches out there right now that are kids, they're children. And I remember watching it was Anthony Robbins, the famous motivational speaker, and he was talking about how if you talk about ice or snow, and you go to the average American and you ask them, how many different types of ice or snow there are, and they would just say there's pretty much two. It's the hard ice, there's the snow, and then there's water, pretty much. That's pretty much it. But if you go to an Eskimo who lives in the snow, they actually live in the freezing cold conditions, they have 100 different ways of looking at ice and snow. From building materials through to what they cook with, to what they type of ice that they need to fish in. I don't know. There's hundreds of different definitions for ice in their language. It's actually a fact. They have so many ways of looking at different types of ice. And that only comes with a depth of understanding. That only comes with a depth of experience, really. And in the community, what we have is we have a lot of coaches that see pick up, game, cold approach in the most simplistic of ways. There's guys that are specialized purely in teaching cold approach. that still only see it as be masculine and approach, and they're only really approach coaches. You just go over there, you do this, you give them a compliment, and then you do this. It's real simple stuff. And then what we do is when you have a look at, there's marketers as well, there's entrepreneurs that want to talk about dating so they can catch eyeballs and sell their products, and then there's guys that are jacked and they want to sell their supplements and teach you how to lift weights, and then they talk about dating to capture your eyeballs, and they suck you in and they want to sell you all this stuff. And there's all these people taking you in all different ways, but when it comes to purely cold approach and dating, it's all surface level stuff. It's all very simplistic. It's like an American talking about ice or snow, very simplistic. But there's very few guys that have spent a lot of time refining and a lot of time on the sweet art of cold approach to have a depth of understanding. There's very few out there. And so what often happens is you will get the jacked guys, you'll get the entrepreneur guys, you'll have the red pill guys, you'll have all these other guys. Their only solution is, well, it's a numbers game, just approach more. That's it. That's their solution, because they don't have a depth of understanding, so therefore they can't give you proper advice. And I would argue that approaching more is the worst thing you can be doing, and as the fake Einstein quote, doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting a different result is the definition of insanity. And I'd argue that maybe you need to speak to someone who knows what they're talking about, has a depth of understanding, and is able to give you a whole bunch of different things you could be trying. And I'm sure you could probably figure it out yourself if you are stuck in intermediate purgatory. But if you want to learn from someone like me, top link in the description, contact me, do some coaching. So I'll see you guys in the next video.